Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel, Paradise in Paraguay, where this is our paradise. Okay.
What up though, everybody?
Yes. So as you can see, we are out in some beautiful nature. Well, we're always out in beautiful nature, but this place in particular is a resort hotel. It's called Los Lagos Resort Hotel. And we are here in celebration of my birthday. I just had a birthday a couple days ago. This is the last day of our stay here for my birthday.
Thus the pink wristbands.
Right, that's why we have wristbands on.
Yep.
So yeah, so we were like, you know, why don't we use this as an opportunity to bring forth you guys a great video. So hit that like button while you're here, hit that subscribe button. You know, don't be stingy, hit the like button now and the subscribe button, okay? Show us some love.
Yep.
But yeah, it's really hot out here. That's why I keep wiping my face. So you're gonna see me do that throughout the video. It's okay though. We're okay. You okay?
I'm good.
We're okay.
We got some water, so yeah, we'll be all right.
How hot is it? You know, they wanna know.
I think it's 90 something, probably 97, 98.
Oh Lord,
Yeah.
I know, we're a little crazy, but we're not that crazy, okay? We love our channel, we love you guys, so we're here. And our kids are okay. They are in some air conditioning right now. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
So yeah, so today's video, we actually wanted to talk about a specific topic. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what was the main thing that sparked our move out of the United States and into Paraguay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, when it comes to moving out of a country, you have a lot of things that you got to consider, a lot of things that can affect your decision to even want to move. For us, the very first thing was thinking about raising our family.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially our children specifically.
Yeah.
And we were married for 3 years without having kids, just so we could enjoy marriage without kids for a while.
Right.
And we were good. You know, we're adults, we are fully established, you know, anchored well in the Lord and everything.
Yeah.
Financially
anchored.
everything was good. But soon as we had our first child, our 9-year-old son,
we started rethinking life.
Yeah.
You know, for everybody that's a parent out there, I'm sure you have similar sentiments, similar thoughts. You start thinking about, you know, okay, what's life going to be like? For you start thinking about yourself, but of course your children. Like, what's life going to be like for me and my spouse? Hopefully you have a spouse if you're having children. But you're like, what's life going to be like for the whole unit, you know, but especially the children.
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to raise them? What do I want them exposed to? What don't I want them exposed to? You know, how are the schools going to be around wherever I'm going to have my child at?
Yeah.
You know, like you just start thinking about the entire, just every aspect of life.
Yeah.
Ooh, see the sun, y'all? It's moving. Now it's on my face. When we first started, it wasn't like that, but we're gonna keep going, okay?
Yep.
So we had those thoughts like most parents do, but of course, most people don't move out of the country to to shield their children from certain things, although a lot of people probably would like to. But for us, that became the decision that we wanted to make.
Yes.
And so we did it. So let's talk about that. Start to talk about like your first, you know, thoughts on that when we had our son. Because the initial thought did come from him. This was not my idea. If you haven't seen our Why We Left the U.S. videos, part 1 and part 2, where we talked about this, I just wanted to reiterate that the initial idea actually came from my husband.
All right, so as we stated already, it really wasn't something we were even really thinking about seriously.
Right, not at first.
Until we actually, literally, until the night that, our early morning that our son was born. That's when the idea popped in my head. We had been considering, you know, since we had traveled extensively internationally before we had children, we had been thinking, oh, one day in the future when we're retired, you know, like a lot of Americans think, oh yeah, I want to be in paradise when I retire.
Paradise.
But as soon as that early morning when our son was there and I'm looking at him in his face, you know, we're going through the whole rigmarole, having them eat every 2 hours and stuff like that. If you've had kids and gave birth and all, you know how that goes. But anyway, we're going through this whole process in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I have this epiphany, like, we have to get out of here. I can't raise my son here, and we wanted more children after that. It's like, I can't grow my family here. Before we had our first kid, we had already decided we wanted to homeschool them, and it's not because it was curriculum, but that wasn't the main thing.
Not the main thing.
The main thing was thinking about were basically behavioral issues, and not of our kids. Our kid was just born, and we didn't know behavioral issues of their peers.
We were just trying to think about the future.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, most of the dumb or bad things I might have done was heavily influenced by trying to fit in, trying to gain the acceptance or approval of my peers.
Yeah, same. Me too. And I've seen my friends do the same thing.
Yeah.
And trying to be cool, quote unquote.
And the thing is, the peers nowadays are way worse in regards to behavioral issues than the peers of back when we were children.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot less discipline nowadays, and there's a lot less unity amongst parents and teachers and all that stuff nowadays than there was back in the day.
Right.
So that was my main concern at the time.
Yeah.
Now, of course, back then, I don't think, but there could have been some No Child Left Behind and Common Core math and all that stuff.
To an extent, maybe.
But now,
not the way it is now.
It's a bit ridiculous because I'm not a kid in school, but I've seen kids in school showing what they're learning and stuff on YouTube and whatnot.
Oh my gosh. It's
how complicated
ridiculous.
they make simple things. It's like they're trying to make us dumb or something. I don't know. So they're not doing that here, and it's not like we were searching through the curriculums and everywhere we were trying to. It was like no, this is an American thing. This ain't happening nowhere else. And
right, but back to this, you think it was trying to make people dumb, and unfortunately, I think they have succeeded quite a bit. Like if you really just sit and listen to some people speak and watch, people out in real life and on the internet, you'll see a lot of similarities of like stupid stuff. You know? It's just a lot of weird things. It's like, dang it, is this coming from the schools? I think so. But like not necessarily.
They're trying to teach people to read with what is it? With look at recognizing the symbol, sight reading, not phonics. It's like so if you've never
talking about big words, because sight reading is okay for the small words.
No, for every word.
Oh.
And contextual reading, like
if there's I don't be looking. And contextual. I haven't looked into all.
Yeah, I was looking at different teachers' point of view. Like you got to use the context of the pictures. Okay. What if there's no pictures? And that's your foundation. Like so when you do graduate from picture books where there's no picures, you can't read. Like, there's no context. Let me look at the cover.
I didn't see that. There's no picture for this word here. Mama, can you help me?
It's like, come on, like anybody that and I'm sorry if you're offended about, if you're a supporter of this method of teaching, but honestly, I think it's ridiculous. Come on, phonics is the way that we've been learning to read forever. Right. Why change it? Really, it's been changed because the consultants make money, teaching teachers how, in new workshops. That's what it really is. Yeah. The more you can change stuff around, the more revenue can be generated by introducing new things. But let's not get into that too much, because that's not what my main thinking was 8 years ago. Yeah. My main thinking was, who's influencing my children?
That's the main thing.
That's the main thing.
And for the most part, it's, a lot of bad children. Yeah. And I don't want to call them bad because perhaps it's not all their fault. But yeah, I don't want to say that there are bad kids, but I kind of do, because there's some bad kids out here, okay? So, I don't know. Sorry if you're offended by that. Maybe we'll just say they had a bad upbringing, or they had bad parents, because there is a such thing as bad parents. Definitely.
And we know that it's difficult for a lot of parents because of this hamster wheel lifestyle we basically developed into in the United States.
That's one factor.
Yeah, that's one. But there's a lot of
use it all away. Some people are just lazy. They don't want to raise their children right, and therefore they send children that are problems, those little problems, to school and
expect the teachers to deal with it.
They're terrorizing the teachers, and they're terrorizing their peers and bullying and teasing, and it's somebody's fault, and it's usually who raised them. Yeah,
and so we're gonna talk about, we mentioned it has to do with lack of time, but it also has to do with lack of accountability and discipline.
And lack of morals.
Parents are trying to be more friends with their kids than actual parents.
Yes.
And just trying to let them do their thing and live their life, where you're supposed to be guiding them and shaping them into the person that they are to grow up to be.
Right. Not just letting them shape how you. Let them shape the way you should be parenting. It should be the other way around. Right. You should be shaping the way that they're growing up.
Yeah. And so, sorry if you're offended about that, but that's something we highly believe in. And if you don't believe in that, then maybe you are not living in reality.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Because little boys in particular who need, you know, a true man example, a male figure in their life, and the ones that are missing that, I don't know, they just seem to be
they have some of the
really out there.
most behavioral issues.
Yeah, really aggressive, and they don't know where to channel that and how to deal with
their emotions properly and
girls
stuff like that.
Of course need fathers too, but I'm just saying we have learned a lot, okay, in our short span of life that God has blessed us with thus far. And we just try to use as much wisdom and discernment as possible, because you know, we all got to live in this world together. We can't fully escape all the bad things, but what we can do is reduce the chances of stupid things, violent things, bad peers and all that type of stuff as much as we can around our children. Yeah.
And so it's not just the negative bad stuff that you would say, oh, those kids are just bad. There's also other things like consumerism and materialism that it's pervasive through society, especially in the schools. If you don't have on the right shoes or the right brand of clothes or the right water bottle or backpack which is so ridiculous.
The stupid Stanley Cup phenomenon that happened not too long ago. Oh my gosh.
It's
right, the certain backpack.
Yeah.
The newest iPhone, even though you know
that's right. Yeah.
that you got on payments, but yet people be trying to brag and act like, you know, if they got an iPhone and someone else doesn't, they're better or they got more money or this.
Yeah, and you paying for it over 2 years, like you.
All the phones are very expensive. Anybody that has any type of smartphone nowadays, you know, you got to have some type of money, but it's like, I don't know. People just be doing the absolute most.
Yeah.
The phone wars, like, it's stupid. It's so stupid to me.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
So an iPhone, you don't, so you must be broke.
Yeah.
Like, his Android cost just as much. He just didn't want that phone, maybe.
Or maybe
everybody don't want that.
Or maybe it didn't cost as much, but who cares? Why does it matter?
Because people put their value and their self-worth into things.
Yeah.
And phones is just one example of many. It really ain't even about the phone wars. It's all of it. Just going back to the water bottle thing. If you don't have the Stanley, you got this type, you go get teased at school. You know how many videos we saw with that? And oh my gosh, it's just, people are people.
In the United States, people tie their self-worth and their self-esteem to the things that they have and the things they can acquire. Not universally, but generally,
More tangible.
Right, like the type of person you are.
Come on.
What type of skills you have, what knowledge you have, what you can offer to society.
How you treat people, are you kind?
Are you friendly? Can you make friends just from being yourself, no matter what you are adorned with? You know?
No, a lot of people, they think they have to look a certain way to be who they're not. And it's, we don't want that.
We didn't want that for our children. We don't have that. We didn't want our children growing up in.
We got away from all of that.
Yeah, I mean, here things are way more basic. Our kids are in a local neighborhood public school.
And
nobody cares.
All get out.
No one cares about any brands of anything. No one has a phone there because they don't allow phones like it used to be back when we were kids. Phones aren't allowed in school, at least in the public school system. Maybe the private schools they are. We don't have our kids in private schools, so we can't speak for all of them. But in the public schools, they're not. The phones aren't allowed.
We know some parents that do have their kids in private school, and it's still nowhere near the level of craziness going on in the private schools here as like from where we're from. Oh Lord, I can't talk. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, it's also, you know, there's the whole. Again, the materialism and stuff. Our kids could not give a care less about Nike or Ralph Lauren or whatever is hot now, because the peers down here, at least in the public schools, they don't care.
No.
So there's no type of, we need this to wear this or have that to fit in. There's no hot backpack or cool water bottle or anything like that.
Right, none of that mess that just makes people feel like they're nothing if they don't have it.
Right, and then they got to beg their parents, can you get me this, can you get me that? And we know a lot of you parents out there are dealing with that.
Yeah.
And you might not want to deal with it, but you also want your kids to fit in and not be ostracized.
And not get bullied.
Right, so you deal with it and you go and you acquiesce and you go ahead and buy the stuff for them to try to, allow them to be accepted. And it's really silly
be that
you gotta have certain things to feel accepted.
Right, it shouldn't even be that way, but the truth of the matter is, it is.
Yeah, I mean,
we recognize that, and we were like, no, we're not dealing with that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it has gotten nothing, and it has not gotten better, it only has gotten worse. Since we've moved, it's way worse.
Yeah.
Not to mention, when it comes to safety in these schools.
Yeah.
And even not even just in the schools, but just safety around their peers, because somehow minors keep getting a hold of guns, school or not, but most of the news has been, surrounded around school situations, school shootings.
Yeah.
That's just another terrible topic and another terrible thing that is involved in, the whole school situation.
Yeah, and so we didn't want to have to worry about that, even though that wasn't something we were really worried about, but it's something that we knew existed. We were teenagers when Columbine happened, and that's basically the beginning of when this stuff started accelerating. And if you look at any charts that show school shootings and the amount of people injured, the amount of people hurt, it's on an upward slope, and it's like accelerating, like it's almost exponential. So what's gonna make that
it's only gonna get worse.
plateau and go down? Well, we don't have any type of political unity, so it's not going to be legislative. That's not going to fix anything.
Nope. Too much division for that. They can't come together on that.
People are too, on one side or the other in regards to gun rights or gun control. And
schools don't want to put up not lie detector.
Metal detectors.
Metal detector.
Unless it's an inner city school.
Which is ridiculous.
Because most of the shootings don't happen in inner city schools.
Right. You should absolutely want metal detectors, but you got people that are just, I don't know, delusional, like fake. They don't want to come to the realization that where they live is really that dangerous.
Right.
Because they feel like, if they see that at the school, it's a reality check that, that school that your kid goes to, they could possibly die and not come home today.
Right.
That's what the look of the metal detector does for them, according to what some people have been expressing. No, I don't want a metal detector. Oh my gosh, it's going to look like this. It ain't about what it looked like. It's about what it actually is. It is dangerous.
Well, hold on. You said something.
It literally is dangerous.
But America is about what it looks like and what it versus what it actually is.
Right, of course. Oh my gosh. Right, and one of the celebrities said it best. She said, like, the U.S. is basically a third world country wearing a Gucci belt or wearing a Louis Vuitton belt. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's all for show. And it's just like, come on, like, be real.
Yeah.
There are some serious problems that need to be addressed, and people got to stop. Or they need to stop acting like things that exist don't exist.
And then they try to blame it on two different things. It's prevalence of guns availability or mental health issues of the perpetrator.
Oh my God.
But the thing is, those are contributing factors. But the thing is, how did this perpetrator become so hate-filled? Probably because they were bullied. Probably because they couldn't fit in. Probably because of all the nice kids that you think are nice, but when they're at school, they're cliquish and they're catty and they're ostracizing people that feel like they don't belong, and then they decide, then they snap.
Yeah.
Because their parents haven't built in enough resilience into them.
Nope. So it's a very dangerous thing.
Okay, sorry about all this back and forth with the framing, and now our sound is different. We've been having some technical difficulties with all this heat and our equipment, and now we had to move to backup equipment, and now we don't have our mics anymore. So
and the sun and the shade's been moving, because you know how that goes as the day gets, as it gets later in the day. Your sunlight spots and shade spots move, so that's why we were kind of further back before, and now we're closer because of the whole audio situation.
Hey, but this is okay. Well, anyway,
like, subscribe, and share, because you should. No.
Yes, and so we can invest in our channel a bit more as well. But anyway,
and it motivates us to keep things going, because we are busy. We got our children.
And though this,
for us to get done,
and in the end, maybe because this will be a 20 to 25 minute video. It's been a lot more time we've been putting in this just trying to film this. So
so smash that like button and hit the subscribe button, especially if you're new. So let's go.
And back to where we were, I was saying that basically it's not like materialism doesn't exist here in Paraguay, but it's more the exception versus the rule. Versus in the U.S.,
materialism
is a bit more of the rule
minimally,
and versus the exception. So it's kind of opposite here in that regard. And so our kids don't really know anything about the importance of name brands or anything like that. Because they're not important here. Yeah, people are not doing the fake it till you make it lifestyle here, really, for the most part.
And we aren't either. Even though we're from that society, we don't care about that type of stuff. It doesn't matter.
No, it really doesn't.
And yes, we can't afford it for anybody that's just like, oh, maybe you can't afford. Actually, because we have left that society, we actually have a lot more disposable income and savings and stuff like that.
And we're focusing.
That's a whole nother topic. It's not anyone's business, but I just wanted to put that out there. That's not the reason. The reason is because it's not important to us.
No, what's more important is making sure that we have long-term financial stability.
That part.
And building an empire for our children to be able to take the reins of.
Absolutely.
That's what we're working on, and that's what's really important. In regards to what you do with your money and what are the plans. Money's just a tool.
It's a tool.
What are you trying to do with it? What are you trying to build? What are you trying to achieve?
Not what you're trying to show off with.
Right.
So yeah, we're trying to build and raise upstanding, good-hearted, moral inclined, good-spirited, kind, smart children.
Right.
And I think we're excelling in that so far.
I think so.
And with God's grace and help, we'll continue to do so. That's what we're trying to do. Steer them in the right direction and give them the things and tools in life that they need to be a good individual on the inside before anything on the outside.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but yeah, the things we've mentioned so far are more the relatively speaking, the more innocuous things. Mm-hmm. But you really got to think about the more...
That pretty bird. I think it's a hummingbird.
Oh wow, it's a hummingbird.
Just got caught in the frame.
It's cool.
Oh, it's so pretty. It was green.
Yeah, it matches my other shirt. They got green hummingbirds on it.
Yeah, I just saw that. Okay, keep going.
Okay, well, anyway. All right, so
that
I mean,
so cute.
what's really pressing, and that has to do with, just the violence and school shootings and whatnot. I don't think there's ever going to be a real solution in the United States because there's too much division in regards to what to do.
Right.
You got one side saying gun control, you got another side saying mental health. But honestly, it has to do with how society operates and how people are made to feel othered or ostracized or not allowed in the group because of material goods or how they look or stuff like that. There's so much judgment that goes on and so much cliquish behavior that goes on amongst
the whole society.
Yeah,
not
but especially in schools, and that's in my opinion the majority contributing factor is the broken social constructs amongst our society, which then leads to people having mental issues, which then leads to people seeking guns that are easily accessible. Guns have always been relatively easily accessible in the United States.
People haven't been hurting each other in this type of way,
right?
In this type of way, in this type of amount.
Right, and why is mental health such a big topic, in today's age amongst people? Why? Because society is toxic.
That part.
Society is toxic, and there's a lot of financial pressure from the corporations and stuff like that really control the place.
Right.
So when you add all this stuff up together, it's not a super surprise that things are happening the way they're happening.
Unfortunately, it's not a big surprise. It's just a terribly unfortunate situation that seems like, I don't know, it just seems like it's going to keep spiraling out of control because nobody as a whole anyways wants to really do anything to make things better. Socially, they don't want to address it. Everybody, want to give these names, and there's these labels, and there's this, all this stuff to coddle to people's issues that need to be addressed. But instead of the actual addressing problems, there's these, these little soft names that things get called, because it's considered like a crime to call something out for what it really is. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. We ain't gonna talk on that subject right now. Yeah. But you call something what it really is, like, no, that's not what it is. It's actually, fill in the blank, the soft version of it. And like, people aren't really addressing what the problem is. So it's a lot of problems though with the state of the society, and it just, like I said, it don't seem like there's no way for it really to get better because so many people are divided. Yeah. So we touched on a few things. We touched on, school. We touched on societal issues, financial issues. Just one second before you move on to that, I wanted to talk about just the topic of morals back to societal issues. The other thing that makes societal issues such an issue is just the fact that there seems to be a lack of morals. Yeah. Period. And once upon a time, the United States used to be founded on moral principles, specifically the Bible.
Bible-based,
specifically, you know, God and Jesus. That wasn't a crime to say that at school. They used to have prayer in school at a point. There used to be there was prayer, there was the Pledge of Allegiance, there was even discipline in the school once upon a time. Just like at the top of our money, it says, "In God we trust." There has always been, as far as in the beginning, when the founding fathers founded the United States, it's always been an inclusion of God. And now he's completely out. And I know there's people that's watching that, you know, they may be atheists or they may be of different denominations, wherever you're watching from, or
agnostic,
whatever your
or
background
whatever.
is. You may have, you know, different views or whatever, but the truth is the truth. This is how that is how the country that we're from was founded on, and these type of problems wasn't happening in the schools. It wasn't happening with the children. People didn't have this level of depression and low self-esteem and low self-worth to where they had to go out and try to find validation in items just to fit in with cliques at school, to again, to feel like something so that they can have friends. And it's just like, it's terrible. It's just been terrible. So I don't know. They need to bring, I do know, they need to bring God back in the schools.
Well, society
needs to bring God back into the schools. Or
God needs to be back in society.
The whole society. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Look, I'm hot. My mind getting warm. My mind hot. So my thoughts are going all over the place. I'm starting to tweak out too. Bump our equipment. Technical difficulties. I'm getting tired. We're gonna end this video.
Physical, biological difficulties going on.
Right, we got to end the video.
We're not from this hot a place. From Michigan, it is cold right now there.
Right. But I'm still glad not to be living there. We visit, but we don't want to live there. So yeah, it would be wonderful if God was implemented back into society, but we know that's not going to happen. But that's one of the things that we believe is one of the bigger problems, one of the underlying problems that people don't want to talk about, that people don't want to acknowledge as part of the problem.
Well, I mean, in general, Republicans do want to acknowledge that and implement that, especially Trump with what he's trying to do. But that's still,
but when it comes to
there's so much division and pushback. That's not something that's really going to happen. And if it does happen, it's going to happen for a season, and then the pendulum will swing the other way.
I know, that's what I was about to say. With politics, though, it just gets ugly and convoluted and whatever. But at the same time, that's the only way. It would have to be through some type of legislation, and that's not going to happen. You got to have it has to be ways. It has to be the right way that it would happen too. It can't just be, okay, we're going to just do this one thing and put prayer back in school. Just go do. It has to be. It's a whole process.
There has to be a unification amongst the people.
Right. And we don't believe that's going to happen. But again, we're just giving our opinion based off of, you know, how once upon a time how things were, and look how messy and ugly and evil things are today.
Absolutely.
And I do truly believe God, and not just God in like the word alone. I'm talking about the biblical principles and all of that. All of that being just done away with, and you can't say God, don't say this, don't say that. Like all of that mess, I believe that has really made the U.S. flush down the toilet the way it's been. Yeah,
and that's and what we're seeing with all of the how society is basically fracturing at different points is the chickens are coming home to roost now.
That part. There we go. So so that's it in a long nutshell. In a big nutshell, we didn't want to raise our kids in all of that mess that we just described. And
then we know that there's a lot of people our age, our peers, that are afraid or apprehensive to have children, if they're even fortunate enough to have a spouse or even a mate now, because they're worried about
not even getting married,
because they're worried about what is the economy going to be like for my children? I can't even pay for my own apartment now.
That's what people are saying.
So another thing that played into it, it's not like back 8 years ago we were having financial difficulties or anything. Like we were good, but looking at where our children would be,
we were just thinking about what can happen. Looking at what we already know was happening, we were like, okay, we can kind of see, how things are going to spiral out of control.
Yeah, how it's going to play out. The debt was way lower, but still ridiculous back then. Now it's to the point where the national debt I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is at the point where the interest we pay just to service the debt, not pay any principal, but is more than we spend annually on the military.
Oh my God.
So the most powerful country in the world, the most richest country in the world, that combined with recruitment standards being lowered and recruitment goals still not being hit for our armed services, that doesn't bode well for the future of the country.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So again, that's one of many of the reasons as to why we were like, you know what, we just got to get out of here altogether. But the number one thing was just the future of our children.
Yeah.
So as always, thank you guys for watching. We definitely got to stop this video. So please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, share this video. We've been out here melting for you guys. So go ahead, hit the like button, y'all. And let us know what you think about the things we talked about. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao, ciao.
Peace and nos vemos.
Thank you.